Hi guys, my name is Samiksha, and today we're gonna read Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. One sunny afternoon, Alice and her sister were sitting in the garden. Her sister had her nose in a book, and Alice was bored. She was just about to begin making a daisy chain when a white rabbit with pink eyes ran past. I'm late! I'm late! cried the white rabbit. The white rabbit scurried off across the lawn. Oh, my ears and whiskers! He cried, diving down a round dark hole. Wait for me! Cried Alice, running after him. She purred down the hole, and before she knew it, Alice felt herself falling. Down, down she went. Alice landed bump on a pile of leaves. Ahead, she could just see the white rabbit disappearing down a long passageway. She followed him and found a tiny gold key lying on a glass table. The key opened a little door beyond, which was a beautiful garden. I'm too big to get through, said Alice. Then on the table, she saw a bottle with a label that said, Drink me. Curiouser and curiouser, whispered Alice. She took a sip from the bottle. Suddenly, she began to shrink. Soon Alice was no bigger than the white rabbit. Alice went to open the door, but found she had left the key on the table. She cried, and soon Alice was floating in a pool of tears. Grab my tail, called the mouse as he swam toward her. The mouse towed Alice to a safe place on the shore. After a while, Alice heard the pattering of footsteps as the white rabbit ran up to her. Oh, my goodness, I'm late. Oh, my fur and whiskers. Thinking Alice was his maid, he told her to go into his house and fetch his gloves and fan. So Alice went inside the white rabbit's house. Inside the cottage, a table was set with scrumptious things to eat, including a chocolate cake with the words Eat Me on its iron ice cream. Alice cut a piece and took a large bite. Suddenly, she felt herself getting taller and taller and taller, until with a bump, her head hit the ceiling. The white rabbit was cross. I have an appointment with the queen, he said, and you are blocking the door. Alice sobbed and, without thinking, fanned herself with the white rabbit's magic fan. Immediately, she began to shrink. Will I ever be my right size again? She wailed. Alice left the white rabbit's house and walked on. Soon she had heard a sleepy voice, but saw no one, only a mushroom that was about her size. Stretching on tiptoe, Alice peered over the edge and saw a large blue caterpillar smoking a strange pipe. If you eat 2 pieces of my special mushroom, one will make you bigger and one will make you smaller, said the caterpillar. Soon Alice ate 1 piece of the mushroom and instantly began to grow. Soon she was her normal size again. I really must go and try to get into the garden, said Alice. Soon Alice came to a house where a duchess was sitting by a cat that grinned from ear to ear. Why does your cat grin like that? Asked Alice. Because it's a Cheshire cat, answered the Duchess. Now I must go and play croquet with the Queen. With that, she hurried away. Outside, Alice was startled to find the Cheshire cat grinning at from a branch. Cheshire cat, which way should I go from here? She asked. "The March's Hare's house is that way," said the cat. "Do you play croquet with the Queen today?" "I haven't been invited," replied Alice, but the cat just smiled and slowly disappeared. Alice followed the Cheshire Cat's directions until she came to a pretty garden where the March Hare and the Hatter were having tea under a tree. Sitting on a teapot in front of them, fast asleep, was the Dormouse. "No room!" they cried out, huddling together when they saw Alice. "There's plenty of room," said Alice crossly, and sat down in a large armchair. "How rude," she thought, as the March Hare dipped his watch into a teacup and the Hatter talked in riddles. The Hatter opened his eyes wide and said, "What is a raven like a writing desk?" Alice thought and thought about ravens and writing desks. "Have you guessed the answer yet?" asked the Hatter. "No, I give up," Alice replied. "What's the answer?" "I haven't the slightest idea," said the Hatter. Alice was very confused indeed, so she got up and walked off. "I'll never come here again," she said. "This is the most absurd tea party I've ever been to." Alice left the garden and walked back to the woods just as the Hatter and the Mouse Hare were putting the Dormouse into the teapot. In the woods, Alice found a door that led back to the glass table with the gold key. Nibbling the second piece of the caterpillar's mushroom, Alice shrank. Soon she was small enough to unlock the tiny door and enter the little garden. There she found pretty heart-shaped trees and brightly colored flowers. Suddenly, a procession came toward Alice, and there were shouts of, "The Queen! The Queen!" Alice saw the White Rabbit, the Knave of Hearts, and the King and Queen of Hearts. "Who are you?" asked the Queen. "Alice, your Majesty," replied the girl. You shall play croquet with me," commanded the Queen. Alice thought she had never seen such a curious croquet ground in her life. The croquet balls were live hedgehogs and the mallets live flamingos. The card soldiers had to use their hands and feet to make the arches. The players all played at once without waiting for turns, quarreling all the while and fighting for the hedgehogs. In a short time, the Queen was in a furious temper and went stamping about and shouting, "Off with his head!" once a minute. Alice was looking around for some way of escape when she noticed the Cheshire Cat had appeared. "How are you doing?" asked the cat. "I don't think they play at all fairly," Alice said in a rather complaining tone. "They all quarrel and don't seem to have any rules in particular." "How do you like the Queen?" asked the Cheshire Cat in a whisper. "Not at all," replied the Alice, tucking her flamingo mallet under her arm and going off to find her hedgehog. On the way, she met the Duchess and chatted happily with her until someone shouted, "The trail started!" In the courtroom, the King and Queen were seated on their thrones, and the Knave of Hearts stood before them. The White Rabbit began to speak. "The Queen of Hearts, she made some charts, and on a summer's day, the Knave of Hearts, he stole those charts and took them quite away." "Call the witness!" cried the King. Suddenly, Alice had the curious feeling that she was beginning to grow. "Alice!" shouted the White Rabbit. Alice jumped up and ran over the witness stand, tipping it over the process. "What do you know about this business?" the King said to Alice. "Nothing whatsoever," replied Alice. The King asked the jury to consider their verdict. "No, no," cried the Queen. "Sentence first, verdict afterwards." By this time, Alice had grown bigger. "Stuff and nonsense," she said loudly. The idea of having the sentence before the verdict hit. Hold your tongue, shouted the Queen. I won't, cried Alice. Off with her head, screamed the Queen. By now, Alice was almost her full size. Who cares about you? She shouted. You're nothing but a pack of cars. At this, the whole pack rose up and came flying upon Alice. Suddenly, Alice found herself lying on a bank in the garden. Her head was in the lap of her sister, who was gently brushing away some dead leaves that had fluttered down from the trees upon her face. Wake up, Alice dear, said her sister. It's nearly time for tea. Oh, I've had such a curious dream, said Alice. She told her sister, as well as she could remember, all the strange and magical things that had happened in her adventure. When she had finished, Alice got up and ran off, thinking what a wonderful dream it had been. That's the book of Alice in Wonderland. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.